My name is Laksh Bell. This is Western Chan, and I want to talk about where business equity actually comes from. When you talk about the intrinsic value of the equity, that's simply a difference of your assets and liabilities. Say you have $1 million in assets, 500,000 in liabilities, which means you have $500,000 worth of equity. But that's just hard equity, that's just intrinsic value. What about the extrinsic value? That is the benefit you have with a business. See, there's not much you can do about the price of equipment or the price of real estate in your city, in your town, in your state. The value of the assets and the value of the liabilities is really a matter of time, and your liabilities can melt off over time, but there's not much you can do about it right away, unless you're willing to pay off your liabilities with cash right away. What you can do about your business in order to grow your business's equity, the extrinsic value, is simply growing the profitability of your business. So for instance, a business making $500,000 a year might have an extrinsic value of, let's say, $1 million. But a business making $10 million of profit in a year might have an extrinsic value of $100 million, which is a 10 times factor, a 10x factor compared to the EBITDA. Whereas the business that was only making $500,000 a year in profit would have an extrinsic value of, let's say, $1 million, maybe even $750,000. And if the seller is desperate enough, maybe even $500,000. Why? Because profitability determines equity. The higher the profit, the higher the multiple you're going to have with extrinsic valuation. The intrinsic valuation is just the salvageable value of all the assets you have, less the liabilities that you have, right? It's just the book value. It's not hard to find that out. It's the extrinsic valuation where negotiations take place, and you can maximize that. And there are only two ways of doing that. A, have a greater amount of profits, and B, have better systems. So for instance, if you're having to spend 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours a day running your business, then your equity is much lower than another business owner who's spending 2 hours a day running that business, because all they're doing is taking care of the high-level stuff, and everything else, customer service, product quotations, talking to prospects, talking to clients, taking care of clients, product deliverables, all of that is taken care by a team of experts who are employees. Whereas if you are the one taking care of a lot of this stuff, if you're the one quoting prospects and creating quotations and sending them out to your prospects and trying to talk to prospects and convert them into clients and then taking care of the clients, sending teams out, managing those teams, micromanaging stuff in your office day to day, then you don't have much of a business. You really have a bunch of jobs and you're doing them all for a single salary. In fact, what I do is when I look at very small businesses, I talk about how much time the business owner, and in many cases their entire family, is spending on running and taking care of that business. And then I try to find out how much money it would take in terms of salaries to replace this family. Very often what I find is a business might be making $500,000 a year, but if I wanted to replace everyone in their family, the people going to leave once they sell the business, if I want to find someone to replace every single one of them, chances are I end up spending more than $500,000 a year in salaries for these people alone, for running the business. So the business actually has negative equity. This is why systems are so important. A business that makes $500,000 a year, which is completely systemized, is worth maybe $2 million. A business that is sort of semi-systemized might be worth $750,000. A business that is not systemized, where the owner is coming in every single day and working from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the evening and spending his Saturdays and Sundays worrying about the paperwork and then having sleepless nights, that might actually have negative equity. The owner with a bunch of employees who can take care of everything that the owner is taking care of, I might end up spending more money than the business is bringing in terms of net profit every year anyway. So this summarizes where business equity comes from. Business equity comes from profitability and systemization. Higher the profitability, higher your equity. And the more systems you have, the less you have to actually work in the business, the more the business takes care of itself through employees and standard operating processes and procedures and policies. The better your system is going to be, the higher your valuation is going to be. My name is Laksh Bell. This is Western Chan. Have a great day.